When in Rome, you enjoy the sights, food, and history, but one 20th century poet from Spain also documented the city's not-so-glamorous sides. Everything from traffic to rats, which is all part of this new book called Rome, Pedestrians Beware. And joining me now are two men who helped put this together. Anthony Geist, a Spanish literature professor at UW who helped translate the poems of Rafael Alberti, and Seattle photographer Adam Weintraub. Thank you so much for being here, y'all.
Thank you for having us.
Oh my gosh. So what is this book about? That is an interesting intro.
Right. Well, it's a book about Rome. Rafael Alberti was one of the great Spanish poets of the 20th century, went into exile after the Spanish Civil War, wound up in Argentina, was forced out of Argentina, and went to his ancestral homeland in Italy and in Rome. And there he wound up in Rome in the early 60s, and he was so impressed by the city, the so-called Eternal City, that he wrote this incredible book of poems about it. And it captures both the glories of imperial Rome, the ruins, as well as rascals, cats and dogs, urine, the dog poop everywhere, and it captures the vitality of the city.
Gosh, so interesting. And why did you decide to translate these poems as well?
It grew out of a project that I had with my Italian colleague and our translator, Giuseppe Leporacci. He and I, in 2008, took a month-long summer program, half students from Spanish, half students from Italian, from the University of Washington, and we traveled and sort of followed the footsteps of Alberti, wandering through Spain, where he was from, and then through Rome. And that was when the concept of bringing out an English translation and an Italian translation of the book came. Then, of course, we shelved it like you do so many times, so many things, and we returned to it a number of years later and decided to work with Adam and to make it a trilingual book, the original Spanish, English translation, Italian translation, and the photographs that Adam took, and he can tell you about that, how many times he went to Rome.
Oh, I know, I want to hear about that. Adam, you took these spectacular photos in the book, so we're going to take a look at some of them now. How do these relate to the poems?
Yeah, so for the most part, it was a dialogue between the poems and the city and how the images were created. So it was not so much sometimes there were some literal opportunities with the poems, but taking the time to understand the dialogue of the poems themselves and how a photograph might actually work with the poet and his vision for Rome was extremely complicated and a lot of fun, and probably my favorite project I've ever done. But this particular one with the dialogue between, for example, the cobblestone streets and the smell of urine, that doesn't make a pretty picture sometimes.
Not so much.
And so you have to find a way to relate that concept visually.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'd lived in Italy for 2.5 years, and my wife is Peruvian, so I had the Spanish-Italian kind of thing going on, along with a friendship with Tony. And so to be able to bring all of those things together in Rome was absolute dream.
So how many times then did you visit?
For this project, 3 times.
3 times?
For about 2 weeks each time. Sore feet at the end of walking around Center Rome all day, every day.
Worth it, spectacular photos. And why is the work of Alberti so important to preserve?
Well, because that's a very good question, actually, Kelly. First of all, one of our objects with this was, of course, to create this dialogue between the photographs and the poems, but also for his work to be known in English. I mean, he is one of the outstanding poets of Spain of the 20th century. He lived for almost the entire 20th century. He was born in 1902 and he died in 1999. So he lived through the Spanish Civil War. He went into exile, lived through the Second World War, went back to Europe. After Franco died in 1975, he was able to go back to Spain finally, after spending half his life in exile. So, he is emblematic of Spain in the 20th century in many ways, as well as being an extraordinary poet.
Yeah, and you have an expert you wanted to share too, right? An excerpt?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not.
We need the book. We need the book.
I put you on the spot there. That's fine. No, so where can people find the book too?
So you can at Elliott Bay Books, and in fact this evening we're going to be doing at 7 o'clock at Elliott Bay, we're going to be doing a presentation and a reading of the book at Elliott Bay, so please join us. So the book can be bought there, and it can also probably be bought online. It's being distributed by University of Chicago Press.
Amazing. Awesome, you guys.
And one thing that I think is amazing is that Tony actually was friends with this poet. And so I think that the relationship between Spain and Tony is emblematic there of that opportunity to then take this relationship and friendship and move it on.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Thank you so much, you guys. And you can hear more about Rome Pedestrians Beware tonight, Thursday, September 25th at Elliott Bay Book Company at 7 o'clock.